So this is Planter. We got it for free from Woolworths. It comes with a few things in it. This is a piece of paper with seeds on it, and this is just a piece of peat. So my idea is that these ancient guardians will stand on top of them, a charging port, some sort of pillar, something like that. So I've got magnets on all of those. So I've got this scrap piece of metal, going to put that. Hopefully doesn't work. Cupboard's too thick, so I just end up sticking on the top. This ended up being pretty good because it added an extra layer uh, on which to put detail, and after it's painted up, it looks pretty nice. PVA glue is fine for gluing metal. I've done it a lot on wood, onto cardboard, onto 3D printed resin. As long as it's porous enough, it'll stay. And I'm not using super glue because I can just let them sit by gravity. So now, cutting some 1/2 centimeter strips, and this will serve as like a banding. Ended up painting them bronze to match in with the ancient golems that I've got. And this is just a piece of cereal box, Weet-Bix. So then I also wanted to fit lights in, so I took washers, and the idea was that the light would be shining out of the center. I was going to cut like circles out, but it's much easier just to take a washer. Everything is the same size. It looks really alien and purposefully built. Super glue as well on these because they're going to be sitting upright, so I need them to bond straight away, and they need a lot of super glue. See there, did not add enough because these planters just soak up so much of the super glue. Drilling a hole with a drill bit, it's very easy. This is recycled cardboard, so I can just cut through it very easily, very fast. And just cleaning it up with some pliers, coming in from every different angle. And then so when the light goes in, it isn't all just absorbed. I've got some tinfoil, shiny side out, and using some PVA glue. The two that are already there, I used hot glue that did not come out very well, not very strong. The layer of PVA glue adds a lot of strength to the otherwise very flimsy cardboard. So then go through all of them and just fill it up. It doesn't matter if it covers the hole that we just cut. I'll just cut through that again. Try not to rip it open. But once the PVA is dry, it'll stick there very well. And go through trimming off all the excess. I was going to leave the little tabs at the bottom, as you can see some of them. I didn't know how or if I wanted to base these. I ended up going back on this and just cutting them off. So then that banding that we made before, now everything is dry. You can just come through some PVA glue, end up going down to super glue just because it's way easier to work with. A much faster drying time, even though it's very hot and it's drying very fast. Super glue is just still way easier. And you can see there, I go through and cut off the little tabs at the bottom. And then go through and do that to all of them. give it a coat of Mod Podge in black paint. I ended up giving it 2 coats, especially because painting over the metal of the washer and the spare scrap pieces, they need a lot more in order to give a good flat coat. It also adds a lot of strength to the otherwise very weak cardboard. And by the end, with all the paint and all of the sealant over it, you see here, the hot glue bends a lot. The PVA glue does not bend. By the end, they end up the same. Give me a heavy dry brush, just a cold grey. This paint is just where I dump all of my paints just into this tub, ends up as a evolving grey color. Whenever I mix up paints and don't use it all, just put it in this little tub, and it all just kind of ends up as grey. And then on top of that, some deep green and some yellow highlighting on that. Makes it look older, weathered, mossy, applying that sort of growth of nature, recollecting it. Just like the Ancient Guardians, the same sort of paint scheme. And then we'll go over later with actual flock and cover that. So now for fitting the light, I didn't really have an idea going into it. I made it like a foam core base. Idea was like stick it in somehow. I ended up cutting just a slip. You can slip in the battery, slip in the LED, cut it down so it fits a bit deeper in, and then fit in the LED using a lot of hot glue. Don't want it to become unlodged. And then just making sure that the hot glue is not interrupting the battery or covering the pieces of the wire of the LED. And that works. And marking the plus side, that is very important if you wanted to be able to just use it quickly. And hot gluing that in. They come with a dry brush of just a tan that I mixed up using white, brown, and yellow paint. And that really brings all of the colors together. And going over then all of the banding in bronze. Just like the ancient golem creatures that I have, they all have a very bright bronze base color. So I want to connect them. And then because these are all overgrown, and also to mimic the weathering that I've done on the ancient golems, I've gone through with some jute twine that has been stained brown. Just put it in brown paint overnight, watered down brown paint. And then coming in with some PVA glue, tacky glue. It was not a great idea. Super glue just ended up working way better, way easier. At least super gluing like down the bottom, one piece down, and then stretching it all around. And these mimic vines growing up. But of course vines have things growing on them, so then covering them all in tacky glue and putting a bunch of green tea leaves over all of that. And this gives it a bit of color as well as like a browner, more dying or dead leaves. And then after all this is dry, just go through with some sealant. I used just watered down PVA glue, sprayed it with some methylated spirits and just dropped it on to all the parts that I flocked. And the green flock is just sawdust, painted a brighter green, and that mimics flock that you buy from the store very well. Alright, and they're all done. They fit in well. My dungeon tiles, built in the same sort of way. And these ancient guardians sit upon them to be awoken, waiting for adventurers to disturb them from their slumber.